Midnight Carnival. It began with whispers. Rumors passed in truck stops and roadside diners, stories woven by drifters whose faces blurred together like smudges on a windshield. Everyone dismissed them. Everyone but me. They called it the Midnight Carnival, appearing once every decade at the edge of nowhere, never in the same place twice. A nightmare wrapped in lights, luring those burdened by secrets. I'd spent 10 years chasing shadows, fleeing the memory of a tragedy, a memory as persistent and inescapable as my reflection in every mirror. When the old hitchhiker outside the desert gas station spoke its name, his yellowed eyes glinted knowingly. "You look haunted, friend. Carnival might have answers for someone like you." Curiosity wasn't what drew me. It was desperation. I'd exhausted every escape, every distraction. All that remained was the lure of the inexplicable. Now, under a moon swollen and jaundiced, I stood at the carnival's threshold. The faded welcome sign swung in the windless air, creaking softly. As I stepped inside, the noise of my footsteps died instantly, absorbed by dirt that felt like damp, breathing skin. Dilapidated tents sagged beneath years of neglect, their fabric rotting yet alive with unseen motion. Neon signs buzzed weakly. "See your future. Face your fears," casting a sickly glow over discarded candy wrappers and popcorn turned to rot. The air smelled sweetly putrid, mixing cotton candy and decay. Then I saw the mirrors. They lined a booth marked the Hall of Reflections, each fractured surface etched with symbols I couldn't decipher. Eyes crying black tears, mouths sewn shut. I caught a glance of my reflection, distorted and grinning. It whispered words I hadn't spoken. I turned away quickly, heart hammering. This was no carnival. It was a trap dressed as childhood fantasy, baited with innocence long corrupted. Further along, shadows stirred, remnants lingering in dim lights. An elderly man with empty sockets rocked on a bench, muttering about children who never grew old. A girl with tangled hair and hollow eyes held out a candied apple dripping crimson. I shook my head, shivering as she laughed softly, the sound echoing with unnatural resonance. A teenage boy in a varsity jacket stepped from the shadows, eyes rimmed in darkness. "It's too late now," he said softly, glancing nervously towards the Ferris wheel silhouetted against the moon. "Avoid the cotton candy. Don't look into the mirrors after midnight. And whatever you do, stay away from the House of Secrets." "Why?" I demanded, but he only smiled, teeth blackened, eyes mournful. I moved deeper into the carnival, compelled by a mixture of dread and inexplicable hope. At the fortune teller's tent, incense smoke wove thick tendrils through air heavy with regret. The woman behind the table gazed at me silently, her eyes mismatched, one green and piercing, one milky and blind. Without a word, she drew a single card, the Hanged Man. "You can't run from your past here," she whispered softly. "Only confront it." Her tent vanished as soon as I stumbled backward, replaced instantly by a corridor of warped mirrors. My reflection followed my movements, mocking my desperation. Blood dripped from its eyes like accusation, staining its distorted smile. My hands flew to my face, clean, trembling. Yet, iron filled my senses. And suddenly, memories crashed in like a wave. The accident 10 years ago, my reckless driving, a teenage boy's body sprawled on a rainy road, eyes wide, accusing, life draining onto asphalt. I'd fled then, had buried the memory beneath time and distance. "You remember now," whispered my reflection, voice filled with bitter triumph. From deep within the carnival, the distorted melody of a calliope rose, louder and dissonant, blending laughter, cries, and whispers. The rides lurched to life, the carousel spinning with horses snarling, the Ferris wheel rotating backwards like a broken clock. I stumbled forward, desperate to escape the visions now clawing at my mind, desperate to flee the whispers chanting my guilt. But the carnival rearranged itself around me, tents shifting position, paths looping endlessly. Then, drawn inexplicably, I found myself before the House of Secrets. Its entrance was a gaping maw, inviting yet repellent. Unable to resist, I stepped inside. Shadows pulsed around me, walls breathing softly. At its center lay a clown mannequin, face smeared grotesquely, lips curled into a grotesque smile. In its open mouth lay a weathered journal, edges frayed. I snatched it, fingers trembling. The pages spoke of a bargain, a carnival born from sin and sustained by sacrifice. Every decade it chose a soul, someone burdened by regret, guilt unresolved. It fed on pain, thrived on remorse. My heart dropped as the truth took hold. I'd been chosen long ago, from the moment I'd fled that accident. The carnival shook violently. Lights exploded overhead, staining the sky with colors like bloodied veins. At its center, reality tore open, revealing a monstrous form composed of twisting limbs and mouths screaming silently. "Stay," it demanded through 100 voices. "Remember." I ran blindly, dodging flames erupting from tents, avoiding mirrors shattering into shards of accusation. Every step sank into ground that felt like flesh. Finally, I stumbled into the tunnel of love. Water ran red beneath a single waiting boat. Inside, another reflection sat opposite me, calm, smiling sadly. "You'll forget again," it said, "until it returns." The tunnel swallowed me. I awoke in blinding sunlight beside the gas station, sand rough beneath my palms. No carnival, no journal, just the metallic tang lingering in my mouth. I rose shakily, believing myself free. Yet, far across the desert horizon, a Ferris wheel turned slowly against the pale morning sky. I don't know how long I sat there, memories bleeding back into obscurity, whispers promising they'd return. Maybe next time it won't let me leave. Maybe it never really did.